Today's episode is brought to you by Musical Theater Radio's merch store. Looking for that perfect gift for someone or just want to treat yourself to some great musical theater themed merch? Head to musicaltheaterradio.com and click on the All Things Theater button on the homepage and check out all the different designs available. And now, today's interview. Welcome back to another episode of Be Our Guest here on Musical Theater Radio. I am your host, as always, Jean-Paul Jovanoff. There are so many great theater companies around the world, and when on social media, you see posts about them, and I think to myself, I should reach out to them, but because social media is what it is, you get distracted by the next post like a baby with keys and forget about what you were just thinking about. But today, we finally get to learn more about one of these companies. Amas Musical Theater in New York City is holding a benefit reunion concert of Lone Star Love on May 19th, 2025. And to tell us more about the concert and Amas in general is its artistic producer, Donna Trinkoff. Donna, welcome to the show.
Hello, welcome. Thank you so much.
No problem. Now, before we get to the benefit and the company itself, we always want to get to know who our guests are before we get going on that. So I always ask for a 30-second bio. So my question is, who's Donna in 30 seconds?
All right. Well, Donna was raised outside New York City and studied theater in school and college and came to New York as an actress and eventually became a producer running a wonderful multi-ethnic theater company, Amas Musical Theater. I've been doing that for the last 31 years. Who knew?
Awesome. Well, thank you for doing that. You know, we need people like yourself who do this. And I was looking at some of the shows that you produced, and I'm going, I play that one, I play that one, I play that one. I'm looking at the list, and I play most of these. Zanna Don't is one of my favorite shows. Just to let you know
I
that
knew
one.
you were going to mention that
I
one.
love that one.
It was a delight. Just a
I've
delight.
I've been wanting to do it in our theater company forever. One of these years, I'm going to get us to do it. So that's
Tim
fantastic.
just did some rewrites of it, and I went to see it down in Asbury Park,
Yeah.
New Jersey, that last summer. It was terrific.
Oh, awesome. I'm always curious. Were you always in a musical theater growing up, or was that something you discovered a little bit later in life?
No, I was always into it. I loved singing, and my parents in those days, they could go to the theater and they could go have dinner, and it was affordable for them as, up and coming young parents. And they never took my brother or me, but they always bought the albums. So I would sit and listen to the albums, and I knew them all by heart. We had Porgy and Bess, Man of La Mancha, West Side Story, Carousel, and on and on. And I loved it. I just loved listening to and singing them.
Was there any record that you just wore out that you played so much because you're like, oh, I love this show?
I don't think I ever wore anything out, but I knew them all by heart, all of them.
Nice. I'm also always curious, in a parallel universe, if you hadn't gone into the arts, was there another, occupation you were interested in you might have gone into?
I wanted to be a veterinarian.
Nice. Any
So that's
particular
my passion, animals and theater.
good combination? Very nice. Well, thank you for going into theater. The animals might not thank you as much, but I thank you for everything you've done with theater over the last little while. But let's talk about Amos and musical theater. How did that start?
So Hamas is 56 years old this year,
Wow.
and it was founded in 1968 by a wonderful African American woman named Rosetta Lenoir. She'd spent almost her whole career in the theater. Her mentor was Eubie Blake,
Hmm.
and her godfather was Bill Bojangles Robinson. And so she was involved in theater most of her life. In the late 60s, there was a lot of well, I should say there was a lot of division in our society in America. And she decided she would start a company where people of all races and colors and creeds could work together. And her mission is that every show would have a multicultural cast. And she actually was awarded the 1999 Medal of Arts by the Clintons for her really pioneering view of non-traditional casting. So I worked for the company as an actress in the 80s, and you just fell in love with her, you fell in love with the mission. She was so gracious and so warm. And there was a Japanese person in the show, there was an Irish person, there was a Black person, there was a Spanish person, there was me, and I loved it.
Yeah.
So when I got the opportunity to take over the theater in the 90s, I jumped at the chance. And there was so much goodwill behind it. So that's how it got started for me. So I've been doing this even longer than Rosie was. But I got lucky, and I was so lucky to have known her.
Over your tenure with the company, is there some shows that stick out for you that you're very proud of what they did or what they represented or anything like that?
Well, you mentioned earlier you were talking about Zanna Don't, and that was just a great show, and it was perfectly within our mission because it was looking at someone who was the outsider, but it was turning it upside down on its head. So it was a world where everybody was gay, and then this heterosexual couple falls in love, and seriously, the audience when they kissed, they were like shocked because you got used to being in this world, you know what I mean? So that was delightful, and we worked. We glued a lot of sequins in that show, a lot of rhinestones, and one of the other shows I was really proud of, Our Love, or The Merry Wives of Windsor, Texas,
Mhm.
and it was a big production. We started it nonprofit at the John Houseman Theater, and then we expanded it into Off Broadway run 20 years ago. Show was such a crowd pleaser, and the music is so wonderful. And it went to, after it was at Amos and Off Broadway, it went to Fifth Avenue Theater in Seattle, and they had every intention of bringing it in. The marquee was up on Broadway, but they had hired um, a gentleman named Randy Quaid, and he wound up tanking the show for a lot of reasons, most of which were terrible, and the show never came in.
Mm.
So fall, we have a cast album. I was listening to it in my car, and I just thought, oh my God, this score is so terrific that it needs to be heard again. It just needs to be heard again. It just got a bad break. So I called up John Haber and Jack Herrick of the Red Clay Ramblers, Jack, and I said, what about we do a benefit concert in the spring? And
Mhm.
they jumped at it. So we've got most of the cast back, and I'm just so excited for everyone to hear this music. It's truly wonderful music. I sent you the music. Did you get a chance to listen to it?
I've already played the show, so it's one more that I played. So yes, I already
Wonderful.
knew it. Yes, thank
Then
you.
you know. It's
Exactly.
original, it's clever, it's a funny story, and it's all based on the Merry Wives of Windsor, the
Well,
Shakespeare.
tell us a little bit more about the show itself. I know it's based on Married Wives, but some people might not know that. So I'd love the little plot.
Well, it takes place after the Civil War, and the devastating kind of war and the end of the war. And Falstaff was an officer in the Confederate Army. And at that time, Texas was also Confederate, though they never had any of the war in Texas. But he's a scoundrel, and he gets kind of what do you call it when you get dismissed with with prejudice, as you say?
Yeah.
He got kicked out, and they told him to get out of North Carolina, and so he did, and he went with his band of Bardoff, Pistol, and Nim, and they headed west to Texas. And he realizes there's a good deal to be had there. There's very wealthy women. And so he begins to woo two of the women. at the same time. And they realize what's going on, that he's playing them. So they get their revenge on him. And then in a subplot, Mrs. Page's daughter is to be wed, and there's a big contest for her hand. And Fenton, the yodeling cowboy, winds up winning the hand of Miss Page. It's very funny.
Very nice. So tell us a little bit about the benefit concert itself. Who's involved with it? Who's going to be performing it? And were there any, for lack of better, surprises or special people that you wanted to mention or talk about?
Well, J.O. Sanders is one of the best actors we have here in New York, and he played Falstaff for us 20 years ago, and he's coming back. And he just played Falstaff at Theater for the New City in Henry the Fourth, Part One and Two. And I
Wow.
went to see him. He was dynamite. So there's Shakespeare in the show as well. And then the rest of almost all of the actors are coming back. They all wanted to come back because everybody loved the show, and it's been around a long time. It just never got its due. And the ones who couldn't come back, like Gary Sandy, he played Mr. Ford, the jealous husband. He is getting an award from he said for radio. He's had a radio show for years as well. So he was very disappointed that he can't be with us. So it was just like that. If you couldn't do it, Beth Level was in our original production,
Yeah.
and Beth is already committed to something else, so she couldn't join us. But very few, almost everybody else was available, and they're coming back from all over the place. So it's so exciting. I'm just so happy that not just for me, because I'm selfish that way. I like to hear the music, but I want everybody else to enjoy it too, and
Yeah.
and know what they got. Either they did see it or they missed it, but now they're going to have the opportunity. So we're doing almost the whole show, but we took out the book and we created a concert version. And Randy Skinner is our director. Randy was the choreographer originally, but when they went to Seattle, he wound up directing and choreographing it as well. And Randy, he's terrific.
It must be so exciting, coming back 20 years later, and seeing everybody again. Our theater community it's huge, but it's small. And you never think, in 20 years I'm going to be coming back and doing the same show with a lot of the same people. And have they started rehearsals yet? Have you seen
We
any of
start
this?
on Monday.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's Fast and Furious. They've had the music, they've had the book, but we jump in on Monday and
Wow.
fly through the week. And then on the 19th, we just lay it all out there. And afterwards, we're having this great party where we're going to have, it's not a Texas barbecue, but we're having chili and cornbread and corn and quesadillas, like a real Texas hoedown.
Okay. I wish you hadn't have said that because I'd love to be there. Like
I
that
wish you
sounds
could come. You're
incredible.
welcome. I'd save a seat for you if you want to come down.
Unfortunately, I'm busy that day, but oh man, if I had known, I would have come down in a second. Um, Tell us how do people learn more about the theater company, and more importantly, how do they get tickets and the availability and
They
that sort of
visit
thing?
our website, Amos Musical, that's amasmusical.org, and just follow the line for the tickets. Um, I did want to say Amos, a lot of people, when Rosetta was awarded the National Medal of Arts, President Clinton said, and she founded the AMAS Theater because he didn't know, he thought it was an acronym,
Yeah.
and so many people do. And I've been kind of fighting that now for 30 years, but it means you love in Latin. And Rosie very purposely called it Amas as opposed to we love Amat or I love Amo,
Yeah.
because it was an exhortation that we have to love one another and take care of one another. And she thought musical theater was, and I do too, was the perfect uh, um, avenue to do that because when you're singing and dancing, you're filled with joy, right? And you bring that joy to what you do, and you become a community. And she said it's very hard to hate someone when you're singing and dancing.
That's so good. That's a very good quote. You're right. That's awesome. I'm curious, did anybody correct the president after he said AMAS?
No, we did
Okay.
not. I just was sitting in the audience going, damn it. But we did go to the White House that night for dinner, and it was
Wow.
lovely. It was just
Well,
lovely.
I'm curious, what's that experience like? Just
Oh
as a
my
side
God, that
note.
was so much fun. I mean, she was not the only awardee. There was Aretha Franklin and Steven Spielberg was there, and Irene Diamond and Norman Lear, George Siegel, the sculptor. So everyone was allowed a guest, and they had a beautiful menu, and I kept that menu. And then afterwards, they had Yo-Yo Ma play in the West Wing, and then we danced. We
That's
danced to like the Air Force Band or something. It was so much fun.
what an experience. What a memory that once literally in a lifetime probably thing.
And I have to tell you, this Rosetta had been in a television show for 8 years called Family Matters.
Hmm.
And it was just wrapping up then. And all of the people who worked at the White House, they all knew Rosetta from the television. They were like, Mother Winslow, Mother Winslow. They didn't know half the other people, but they knew Rosie. It was
That's
adorable.
hilarious. Excuse me. I know you're busy with the benefit concert, but is there anything else you want to promote that Amasa's doing that you want to talk and let people know about?
Well, we just finished in the fall this wonderful show. It was the first Native American musical, pop musical in New York City called Distant Thunder, and it
I
took
saw
place on the
that.
Blackfeet. You did?
Yeah, I saw it when I was
Oh,
in October. Yeah.
oh, that's so exciting. It was a joy to do. We've been working on it for many years, and I'm
Mhm.
happy to say it's going to be going to the Phoenix Theater Company in Phoenix, Arizona,
Very nice.
in the winter of 2026. And then I'm working on this other show that we have an award at Amos called the Eric H. Weinberger Emerging Librettist Award. Eric was the writer of a show that we did called Wanda's World. That's another show I was very proud of that by him and Beth Falcone. And it was just a delightful, delightful show. And I did another show with Eric on top of that, but he sadly passed away. But his husband started this fund because the librettists are kind of unsung, you know?
Yeah.
So anyway, we had a great winner last year called T.O.B.A Championship Wrestling. And it's a riot. The show is so funny. And we did as part of the award there we do a lab presentation of it, a reading, and the audience was so enthusiastic. It's very interactive. So we're going to be a workshop of that in November. I'm doing a festival in November called the Dare to Be Different Festival, and we do a number of new musicals, one night events. We're going to be doing a another benefit concert of a show that was a big hit 30 years ago called Charlotte Sweet by oh goodness, his name's just went right out of my head. He'll kill me. Michael Colby and Gerald J. Marco, and it's being directed by Jeff Calhoun. And I
Mhm.
love working with Jeff. And there's another show that just was awarded the Weinberger Award called The Dark Lady, which we're going to be presenting. We don't have a time yet. I'm hoping we can do it in that festival, but it's so good. The music is terrific. The book is terrific. And it's about a woman who was a playwright and a poet in Elizabethan England, but they would not allow women
Mhm.
to present, you know. So she finds this stable boy named William Shakespeare, and she convinces him to be her beard.
Nice.
It's really good. And of course they fall in love. And there is some, historical credibility to this story because they were lovers and she was, presumed to be the dark lady that he wrote the sonnets about. So yeah, I mean musical theater is it's just something everybody it gets to your heart.
Yeah.
It cuts right through. And
It,
I
it,
think it keeps you young.
for sure. Well, it incorporates all those aspects of not just acting, but the singing, emotional and the movement, and it taps into every part of your mind, psyche, heart, soul, and all that sort of thing. So, well, thank you for
So,
doing that.
oh, it's been my great pleasure and to work with these amazing artists, these not, I mean, the actors always floor me with how talented they are and how quickly they learn and how multi-talented they are, to be honest.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I have another show I'm working on, talk about multi-talented. It's called the Stork Derby, and it takes place in Toronto.
Okay.
Yeah, so in the late 1920s and 1930s, this millionaire left his fortune to the woman in Toronto who could have the most babies in the next 10 years. It's a true story. You've got to look it up.
Wow.
And our version by David Rossmer and Dan Lipton is about the immigrant community who have settled in Toronto and how they joined together to try to win this fortune and change their circumstances. But the aristocrats are not very happy about the immigrant community, and so they basically go head to head with them.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, I think JD Vance would be very happy with this show because there's lots of babies being born. Discount to the show.
Well, thank you. Anybody who's coming out will say thank you. And you took the words out of my mouth. I was about to say everything you just said. So now I don't have to hear my own voice. So that's even better. Again, Donna, thank you so much for
Oh,
coming on.
Jean-Paul, you're so great. You really are. I love that you're doing this.
We were just speaking with Donna Trinkoff, the artistic producer of Amos Musical Theater. Yes, there is the benefit concert that is happening on May 19th of Lone Star Love 2025 this year in very soon in like a week, 2 weeks, very soon. Just get your tickets, check them out, and support new works. And anybody who supports musical theater, go support them as well. Tune in next week as we speak with another guest or guest about their life, love, and passion that is musical theater. I am your host, as always, Jean-Paul Jovanoff. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.
He said, what do the writers do when they're not working? The
Hmm.
composers can play at a piano bar or they can, accompany. But what
Yeah.
does the writer do? You can't sit in a window and write. So
Well,
our award is not quite as rich as the Kleban Award is, but bless his heart too.
support on all levels and endeavors is so important. So, Donna, thank you so much for coming on today.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. So I want to remind everybody the concert, which you're gonna love, is on May 19th at Theater 555 on West 42nd Street. And if you go to amosmusical.org, I'm going to actually give you a discount code. The
Sweet.
discount code is FAM 2025. And if you go to the bottom of the tickets, you can put that, you can get one of those tickets and then put in the discount code and you'll get a really, really nice